Citizenship and Immigration Services, part of DHS, published a memo today announcing new guidance applying to immigrants looking to become U.S. citizens. ABC's legal contributor, James Sample, is joining us once again to break this all down for us. James, great to have you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's talk about this. This new guidance significantly changes how USCIS officers assess, right, whether immigrants meet the so-called good moral character requirement when applying for U.S. citizenship. So tell us about this change and how it could affect immigrants trying to get naturalized.
Stephanie, it is a change, and good moral character has always been a requirement for applications for naturalization. But what is the change here is an emphasis on a shift in the burden of proof, in essence. It used to be that an applicant for naturalization would demonstrate good moral character, often referred to as GMC in the immigration context, by demonstrating the absence of problematic behavior, the absence of criminal behavior or other problematic behaviors. Now there is an additional burden, which is to say that the new memo issued by the Department of Homeland Security and the Trump administration puts the burden on applicants to demonstrate positive attributes. And on its face, that's really hard not to support. On its face, that sounds innocuous and like something that everyone would be in favor of. The question will be whether or not in application it is administered in a fair and non-discriminatory manner.
And so now agents will be looking for also positive attributes apart from what they usually look for, which is making sure applicants haven't committed serious offenses. But this new policy sounds a little subjective. No, how would they measure positive contributions and make sure what a person has done is enough to become a citizen?
I think that's exactly the right question, and it is the right emphasis, Stephanie, which is to say that this introduces a significant degree of subjectivity into a process, which is to say that the administration says, on the one hand, their spokespeople say that U.S. citizenship is the gold standard of citizenship, and only the best of the best should get the opportunity for that citizenship. Critics of this policy say that this subjective discretion injects arbitrary decision-making, will lead to politically biased decisions, will put extra burdens on applicants, and may even stifle free speech. For example, there is an emphasis in the policy on what the administration refers to as rooting out anti-Americanism. Now, rooting out anti-Americanism, again, on its face, sounds like something that naturalization should include on a holistic basis. But does that mean, for example, disagreeing with the Trump administration or expressing, for example, pro-Palestinian views? Are those going to be considered by the powers that be in the administration as anti-American when in other contexts they would be referred to as freedom of thought and freedom of speech?
Right. The administration certainly making it harder for immigrants to become legal immigrants. Now, James, you'll remember this. One of President Trump's biggest campaign promises was to go after criminals and undocumented immigrants. In this case, though, immigrants cannot become U.S. citizens overnight. We know that. They have to be documented. And in many cases, they have to wait for years in order to apply. They go through multiple steps and vetting. And it seems like this administration's attention is now shifting to legal immigration. Do you think the purpose of this new guidance is to make it harder for people to become citizens? What are your thoughts on this topic?
I think that is absolutely one of the purposes, Stephanie. On the one hand, you have the rhetoric that says we're going to target the worst of the worst as a priority for deportation. Then you see that despite that rhetoric, that hasn't been necessarily how it's worked out on the ground. Here, at this very same time that the administration is talking about deporting millions and millions of individuals, it is also making it easier for certain categories of individuals to come into the country via means like the so-called Trump card, the idea of a citizenship gold card for those who have money and resources, while making it more difficult for the people who, as you say, in many respects have done everything right. It is a far cry from the words on the Statue of Liberty penned by Emma Lazarus, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Those individuals right now seem like they are being disinvited from the shores of the United States.